When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hey guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. Now before we begin this story, Sadako, the ring, if you're not familiar with her Japanese adaptation. I think the American version call her Samara, I'd be, but I'm going to refer her as Sadako. When I was making the script, I, dug deeper into her abilities. So I'm just going to give her 2 abilities that she originally doesn't have, just because it will fit the story more. She's going to have a form of telekinesis and a water manipulation. It's not that far of a reach for her to have telekinesis, considering she does have psychic abilities. Give me a second, guys. Things keep popping up one thing. Now, my excuse with her water manipulation part, well, she died in the well, so I kind of add the water into her power set. She also has superhuman strength. I'm not sure if she actually has that, but I'm giving that to her because she's a supernatural creature. When it comes to her water manipulation abilities, she'll mostly use them for defensive purposes, changing her body into liquid. Now let's get on with the story. As we start our story off at the residence of the Toshinori Yagi. Other people know him as All Might. All Might is training his firstborn, his daughter, Izumi. She clearly inherited many features from her mother, like her green hair and green eyes. As you can see the youngest staring down upon his father and sister, training. His sister is a second year of class 1A at UA, training for the sports festival. Izuku's never really liked his father much, or his so-called hero career, unlike his sister that shown great interest in becoming a hero. Izuku was the complete opposite. He has no interest in fighting, interested in heroes. They're nothing but posers, unlike the American heroes, like Superman and Batman. In Izuku's mind, those are true heroes, despite their odd fashion choice to fight crime in. They might be considered vigilantes here in Japan, but Japan has heavily regulated their heroes. The system is clearly flawed. And you're probably wondering where's Inko in all this. She vanished sometime after Izuku's 9th birthday, without a trace. The typical reaction would have you believe that he would hate his mother for disappearing and abandoning him and the rest of the family. But in truth, he knew exactly why she left. Izuku's only one of the Yagi family that Inko keeps in contact. Izuku has always had a strong bond with his mother, and that bond just increased when he found out he inherited a similar quirk to his mother, and his sister has a version of All for One, not as powerful, but there's still time to grow her quirk, and it might even be as powerful as All Might, or even surpass him. Only time will tell. Izuku's telekinesis was extremely weak at first, but he trained his powers in secret. He has no intention of being a hero, but that doesn't mean he's going to squander his powers just because he has no desire to dress up in tights and fight crime like some sort of idiot. Izuku turned his back to the window of his room. As you could clearly see, Izuku has purple hair and with a few bright blue highlights scattered all around his head. As you could clearly see the bright, almost glowing yellow eyes. He doesn't know why he doesn't have green hair or green eyes like his mother, or blue eyes or yellow hair like his so-called father, but he suspects it might have something to do with his quirk. He might have not inherited his mother's physical features, but he sure as hell inherited a version of her quirk. And the young Yagi is fine with that. Izuku shut his blinds to his window as he hopped onto his bed and pulled out a iPad or iPod and put his headphones over his ears and started to listen from track to track from his music collection that he has downloaded onto the small device. But he couldn't enjoy it 5 tracks in, and he was interrupted by his phone as he took it out of his pocket and turned on the screen to the phone to see a text message from one of his underlings of his street gang that he formed out of boredom. Izuku might be the son of All Might, but he is the black sheep, the rebellious one. Izuku hopped out of the bed and shut the screen of his phone by turning it off and put it back in his pocket and left his room. Left the mansion that's located on the good part of town. His presence won't be missed or even noticed by his father, All Might, or Toshinori, is too busy focusing on training his sister. Izuku took the local subway to the bad part of town. It only took him about 15 minutes to get there. To the shitty part of town, basically shitty part of town. Once he arrived, he left the station, the subway station, and entered a huge warehouse. Izuku entered his headquarters of the street gang. Inside the warehouse, it looks more like a huge apartment than an actual warehouse. The second floor is all where the rooms was built. The first floor has a kitchen, living room, a bar, with a couple of pool tables, including a couple knickknacks around the place. As you can see, all the street punks all gathered up, waiting for their boss to arrive. Boss, we have a problem. So they finally decided to act. It's only natural they would attack. They've been poking around in our territory for weeks now. How many of you were injured this time around? 5 of our people are in critical condition. I guess conflict is unavoidable at this point. Alright, boys. I suggest you all arm up yourselves. We're going to war. Got a boss, as all of his fellow minions head to the weapon room that's inside the warehouse. Once his people, his employees, minions, or how you want to phrase it, all came back armed with chains, baseball bats. They immediately went towards their rival street gang's territory. Sometime later, they finally arrived, as Izuku is staring down the leader of the rival gang. Show no mercy, take them. As all of his men of his street gang rush towards the rival street gang. All the leaders stay in their position, just watching the fight. As you can see, Izuku has his hands in his pockets. Eventually, Izuku and Zack begin to approach each other. So you're the leader of these losers. I thought you would be bigger, not some scrawny little pretty boy. And I thought you would be more intelligent. I guess I shouldn't expect much from gutter trash. What did you say, punk? I didn't stutter, gutter trash. Izuku acted fast and caught the fist of Zack with one hand as he threw his own, only for Zack to catch his fist, as both leaders smirk at each other, then immediately separate by stepping backwards a few steps. Izuku and Zack circle around each other. You're not bad for a pretty boy. You're not bad yourself. I was wrong. Maybe you have some basic intelligence after all. You're a cheeky little bastard. Izuku and Zack rush towards each other by socking each other in the face at the same time, as a bunch of heroes finally arrive upon the scene, trying to calm down the situation. Izuku and Zack whistled at their men to get their attention, as everyone book it out of there. Zack released a burst of electricity to temporarily blind the pro heroes to make their escape. He basically make almost like a flash bomb. They're at the edge of town, so they ran towards the direction of some old abandoned houses, just on the outskirts of the city, where there's a old abandoned shrine and a few other structures. Follow me. I know a place. We can lay low. Then we can finish up our little battle afterwards, after the heat dies down. I'm with you there. Last thing I need is heat from the pro heroes. Name's Zack, by the way. Izuku. Izuku follows Zack to a humongous abandoned manor. The place looked like it would be haunted, for sure, if he believes in such things. Is Izuku Yagi a skeptic when it comes to the supernatural world? Most definitely. Type of guy that likes to see proof before he believes something. He's a realist. Both gang leaders standing in front of the huge metal gate that leads to the property of the manor. The boundaries, basically, of the manor itself. It's very creepy looking. Metal to the huge gate looks rusted and heavily damaged. Izuku looked around the place. It seems like it hasn't been maintained in quite some time. Plants are clearly overgrown all over the place. But the manor doesn't seem to be that bad of a shape itself. Zack kicked the door open as everyone made their way past the threshold of the gate. They finally got to the manor. Zack kicked the door open as everyone made their way in to the huge manor. Alright, boys, make yourself at home and stay away from the windows. We'll most likely be here for a while. I have no doubt these pesky heroes are still looking for us. As we cut outside of the manor, that there's a well on the property. The moment the two street gangs entered the boundaries of the property, Sadako was awoken from her slumber. The state of the world, when she was still active, by sending out several of her curse tapes, was still transpiring before the birth of Quarks. But once Quarks started to show up, Sadako decided to fade away, to lay low. People would just consider her another one of many legends they have in Japan. And she was successful. People eventually forgot about her very existence in her curse tapes. Back inside the manor, when the two street gangs enter a bigger living area, surprisingly, the room was filled with several TVs, as all the TVs turn on to static. Then you see the beginning images of the cursed tape. Izuku stopped his people from damaging the television. He wanted to see what the hell this was all about. When the video ended, everyone got a phone call at the same time on their cell phones. As everyone put the receiver on their ears. You have 7 days to live, in a very distorted, creepy female voice. Izuku shut his phone and put it back in his pocket. Well, that is disturbing. That's an understatement of the year. What the hell sort of trick? Who is responsible for this sick prank? 7 days to live. Huh. It's probably some brat just having a little bit of fun. As Zack scoffed, as Zack is clearly not amused by the antics, and the video on the television was creepy as hell. So Zack did what Zack always does when he finds things that he doesn't like. He shoots it with electricity, breaking the televisions in the room. They are currently in one of the living areas of the manor. Zack was unaware that there are several more televisions scattered all around the manor. That was placed on purpose. Regardless, we're going to be stuck here. So eventually, we will find out what will happen after the 7th day. If it's just a joke or and someone's just fucking with us. I'm going to take a look around and do whatever you want. Just remember, according to the news articles that I read on my phone, the heroes are still looking for us, including the police. Apparently, they want to use it as a example to deter such local crime to increase. They're just sending a message to other street gangs in the city. Bastards are using us as deterrents. It's just dandy. I'll contact you if I need some assistance, as Izuku said that psychically to Zack. So that's what your quirk is. You're a telepath. Something like that, Zack. See you in a bit. Izuku walked off to explore the manor with a few of his men, just to be safe. The phone call is clearly a big The phone call is clearly disturbing. He just wants to be sure. The Izuku being overly cautious, most definitely. It's either an elaborate prank or the phone call is a warning. He doesn't know what will happen after the seventh day, but judging by the distorted voice that clearly was female, it's probably not anything good. But this beats staying at home, stuck in his room, so he shrugged the whole tense atmosphere that he got from his people and the rival gangs. They're clearly freaked out and nervous, and he could see it in Zach's eyes. He feels about the same. He's just not showing it. Izuku's good at reading people. He's always have. Without using any psychic abilities. Izuku has no intention of becoming too friendly with the guy. He's only have a temporary alliance because of the situation they're in. But the moment that's no longer the case, Izuku will take out Zack. He has no Zack would do the exact. He has no doubt Zack is planning to do the exact thing to him. Izuku's not planning to kill the guy. Make him, hospitalize him, yes, but not kill him. He's no murderer. There's no reason. He's done nothing wrong to him, so there's no reason for him to kill him. Alright boys, fan out. This place is pretty huge. Don't travel this place alone. Pairs up in two. Got it, boss. Izuku entered one of the rooms of the manor to find another, smaller living area with a television. Izuku saw an old cassette tape on the table as he saw a nearby VCR in a random box that's in the room. He walked over to pull it out, the VCR, and plug it into the television. As he took the tape from off the table and put it into the VCR, as he turned on the television, as what he saw was the same footage from what he saw earlier was played. So he watched the entire tape. Still very disturbing images. He's already been cursed, so watching it again won't do anything to Izuku. Izuku saw a fly flying on the footage close to the screen as he pricked it off the screen like the fly shot out of the screen. That did put him on edge. That's clearly not normal. Izuku turned off the television and took out the cursed tape out of the VCR and put it in his back pocket. Izuku couldn't help but be fascinated by the images that was shown on the tape. It's disturbing, there's no way around that, but he finds it very intriguing. He's very interested what will happen when the seventh day expired. He's curious who's behind this. Sadako couldn't wait to kill these humans. The mere thought at the large number that watched the footage of her cursed tape at the same time got her all giddy. Sadako hates humanity, and her hatred for humans only grown over the years and generations. But one human out of the bunch stuck out. A boy with purple hair with blue highlights, with almost glowing yellow eyes, caught her eye. He even rewatched the cursed tape and took the tape with him. Sadako couldn't help but smirk in one of the televisions, watching the whole scene before her. She has fully planned to save him for last. The moment the 7 days has passed, she'll start hunting every single one of these humans that seems to be a part of two different type of street gangs. She could easily recognize the leaders. A rough boy with a mohawk. She has no interest in him. She'll kill him. There's no way around that. But he doesn't interest her one bit. But the other gang leader. She's clearly intrigued, so she decided while she's here, at her family's old manor, she would observe him more closely. Is she going to stalk Izuku? Most definitely. The moment he touched the tape and saw the footage, he was marked by her, and no matter where he goes, she will be able to find him, like the others. They might not have touched the tape physically wise, but they saw the footage, so they were cursed regardless. The heat eventually died down as they eventually left the manor, a bit rattled by the weird images they saw on the televisions and the very disturbing call they got on their cell phones at the same time. How you want to play this? I have no problem finishing what we started, or we can go our separate ways and come to blow with each other on another day. As much as I would like to beat that pretty face of yours into a pulp, I got things to do. We'll finish this on a later date. Alright, boys. Let's go. We're going home. Keep an eye on our territory. But beyond that, you're all free to do whatever you want. I have to get home. It's getting pretty late. Unfortunately, I have school in the morning. Izuku eventually got home and went into his room and put the cassette tape in his desk, locked it. Immediately afterwards, he went in the kitchen to eat something. Then he went to bed. The next morning, he got the same phone call. 6 days. When the phone call ended, Izuku put the phone in his pocket. He was indeed right. It's counting down to something. To what? I wonder. No matter. I really don't have the time to worry about this whole strange counting down calls. From a very distorted female voice, I'll just have to wait until the 7th day to see what actually happens. Izuku continued his day, disregarding everything that's evolving around the manor and not giving it a second thought. On the 5th day, he got the same phone call. The 5th day, but the next day, he got the same phone call telling him he only has 5 days left. But he did like with the last phone call. Did not pay no mind. There's not much he can do about it now. He doesn't know what the hell is exactly going on. Deals it when he crosses that bridge. While strolling on his territory, he got ambushed by a bunch of street punks that are trying to make a move on his territory. They clearly don't belong to any rival street gangs. It's just some upcomers trying to make a name for themselves. But unfortunately, they clearly chose the wrong target, as all of them begin to surround surround the young Yagi that had an emotionless expression on his face. You got some balls, I'll give you that. As he said that in a monotone voice. Sadako was observing Izuku from a random television that's in the alleyway, right next to a trash can, where the street punks are surrounding Izuku on all sides, carrying metal baseball bats and switchblades. So, you're Izuku. What business do you have with me, losers? We got the right guy. Time to dethrone the king. As they all attack all at once, while dodging blows from the bat swings or the slashes from the knife. As Izuku comment on the situation, you seem to be confident in yourself. Hope you have more than baseball bats and little pocket knives, because if that's all you have, you've made a terrible mistake. Hope you like being critical condition, because once you wake up, that's where you'll be. Is this all you want, losers? That is your fate. I had enough of this little shit, as he rushed towards Izuku, swinging his baseball bat at Izuku's head, only for the bat to stop. It's clearly being pushed back by a invisible force, mere inches away from Izuku's head. What the hell? As you clearly could see the bat stop in mere inches away from Izuku's forehead. Izuku just moved the bat out of the way with one finger, then flick the punk in the forehead as he was sent flying backwards by Izuku using his telekinesis. Just using his middle finger flick, or his finger flick, to believe that he has some form of super strength, just to deceive them. Him having telekinesis is not well-known information, and he likes to keep it that way. He's not going to be like an idiot and proclaim his quirk is telekinesis to everyone he sees. Actually, when he did that to that punk, the rest of the punks had in their mind that he had some form of super strength quirk. Completely annoying that he did stop a bat from mere inches away from his head, but they couldn't see because of the angle that guy was at, what the angle the guy was in. They saw their fellow punk get pushed back into a brick wall that's in the alleyway, as spider web cracks beginning to form because of the strong impact the punk made with the wall. Izuku just stood there, wagged his finger at them, motioning them to bring it. Izuku began to dodge all of the street punks that are carrying the metal bats and knives, just easily dodging around their swings, and easily getting out of the way of the switchblades. For good measure, he put a slight psychic barrier around his body, so the switchblades won't actually make contact with his skin, if they were actually skilled enough to actually make contact with him in the first place. Izuku knows he's good, but he's not overconfident in his abilities. Izuku's a firm believer. You will always find someone stronger than you. That's why he implemented different precautions just in case if that ever occurred. Izuku extended his hand outwards on each side as everyone gets shot backwards into the walls of the alleyway. Izuku picked up the metal bat that was laying on the ground from one of the punks and picked it up and looked for their little rain leader and began to walk over him as he began to smash the bat across his face repeatedly, not killing him, but he's going to have a killer headache in the morning, and threw the bat behind him nonchalantly as you could hear the sounds of the metal hitting the floor. Izuku simply walked away. He hasn't had good time sleeping. Ever since the manor, he hasn't had a good night's sleep. Time progressed for all parties involved until finally the seventh day finally arrived, as we cut to a scene where one of the street gang members of the rival street gang got to his home. His parents were out of town. They never really cared what he did. The poor fool. The TV flickered onto static. The poor fool didn't even notice Sadako crawling out of the television before it was too late. The moment he turned around, he was insulted by very terrifying images. Eventually, his heart gave out as he died from a heart attack, with a very distorted face, like he saw pure evil. As Sadako disappeared back into the television, as the TV shut off, it didn't take long for someone to notice. Several members of two different street gangs were found dead, one after another, like someone was targeting them. Izuku's remaining members of his street gang are in hiding because they believe they're being targeted. Izuku did the most sensible thing and remain at his house. But he kept his eye out on any information. It wasn't hard for him to realize his members of his street gang are dying off at a rapid rate, one after another. Same thing is happening to the rival gang nearby that Zack controls. Izuku eventually left his home, or his house, to find Zack to see if he has any information. Izuku doesn't quite understand why both street gangs are being targeted. He's starting to believe the death is connected to the phone call that they all got, or what they've been having ever since the manor. It didn't take Izuku long to locate Zack. Apparently, he's barricaded himself in a warehouse somewhere downtown, not too far away from the League of Villains bar. But they don't know where that is. They're low-ranking, street-level criminals at this point, so they wouldn't even know about the League of Villains. Unless he hears something from his father, All Might, but beyond that, he doesn't know anything. You see Zack with a few of his men, of his gang, hear noises coming from the entrance to the warehouse. They immediately went on high alert, hearing noises. Zack sighed to himself to see just Izuku. Oh, it's just you, Izuku. You look like shit, Zack. You don't look too spry yourself. Nightmares? So you have been having them as well. Everyone has been having them, Zack, according to what I at least know at this current time. I noticed since the manor, I've been having them every night. As the countdown As the days progressed, the nightmares only got more severe. I noticed that as well. Sorry about your people. I heard they were all killed. So where's the rest of your group? Dead. This is this is all that's left of my street gang. Izuku hopped on a crate next to Zack. I am no longer a gang leader, considering a gang, I need members. And considering all my current members are dead, I think I'm done. I'm bored with this whole thing anyways. So, how are we going to take care of this, Zack? What do you mean? It's quite obvious. We are being targeted. To have so many members of both of our little gangs to get killed, one after another, is obvious. They're being assassinated. By whom? I'm not sure yet. So, what do you say? We join forces to see who's been doing this to us and put an end to it. I agree. Izuku and Zack shook hands. Zack has only 4 remaining members of his gang left alive. Out of the 30 members, only 4 managed to survive. Izuku's gang, on the other hand, was 40 strong, but they were all wiped out. Izuku was baffled. Izuku doesn't have any doubts. If there was any evidence connecting him to many of the deaths been going around, the PD would have, or the officers. I'll just call it PD for now. The police department would have already took him in for questioning, being associated with a street gang. But his association with a street gang is not well-known knowledge as well. He's always kept a low profile. And from whatever connections he has, the victims that have been found mysteriously died from a normal heart attack, but their facial expression says another story, like they saw something so horrible that they had a heart attack and died. If I was a betting man, I bet we could get our answers, where it all began. Zack turned his head. You don't mean? Yes, I do. We need to go back to the manor. Everything is connected to that place. I'll gather some supplies for us. What about your parents? Wouldn't they ask if you went missing for too long? My old man wouldn't even know that I was gone. Mother, on the other hand, is out of the country, so I'm good on my end. I'll be back in a few hours. I have no doubt the cops and the heroes are probably looking for you. Considering your appearance is clearly sticks out, Izuku left after gathering the necessary supplies from a local grocery store. He put everything in his backpack and met up with Zack as they made their way back to the manor, as both boys stare at the huge metal gate to the front entrance of the property of the manor. 6 boys entered the manor gate as they followed the pathway leading to the manor itself. Izuku placed the backpack inside the manor and went outside to look around the manor, while Zack and his remaining members of his street gang searched inside the manor for any clues. Izuku and Zack are not sure what they're looking for, but they both know what's been going on is clearly connected to this place, and the phone calls they got until the 7th day. both members of the street gang, and to be found dead by cause of heart attack with a twisted expression on their face, like they saw something so horrific that their heart gave out. Izuku found himself to a very familiar well. He doesn't know why, but it looks very familiar. He just can't put his finger on it. The well looks pretty old and deep. Izuku can clearly see some water down below, but he can't tell how much water because it's so far down. Suddenly, a pale hand grabbed onto his wrist and pulled him into the well. When Izuku fell to the bottom, as he sunk, as he resurfaced to get some air, as he gasped for some fresh air, Izuku looked up to see how much of a distance it is. He clearly won't be able to climb up the well. He might be able to float up using his telekinesis. It's going to take some concentration. He hasn't perfected it yet. Suddenly, someone grabbed onto him and yanked his hand. As Izuku yanked his hand away, as he saw a glimpse of a body, before he used his telekinesis to shoot whoever that was into the wall, what surprised him as the body turned into water. As the top of the well was closed, leaving Izuku in pure darkness. Meanwhile, Zack and his 4 minions all separated in different directions. Zack heard a terrifying scream and only found one of his men dead with a terrifying expression. He sees the television on with nothing but static. They heard the door to the front door burst open, very roughly. When Zack got to the entrance, he saw a very soaked wet Izuku, a bit irritated. Izuku began to wring out his hair from the water. "Where's the other one? You're missing the guy." "Dead, like the others. What the hell happened to you?" "I got dragged into the well, in the backyard." "What dragged me? I'm not totally sure. It was clearly down there with me. But I managed to slam it against the wall with my telekinesis. But the odd thing is, it only burst into more water. Like it was made of water. It's a good possibility whoever's doing this might have accomplice. They clearly must have a water-based quirk. I'm not sure how they're killing, though. Show me the body. There has to be some sort of clue. I'm surprised you're taking the whole death of one of your people so well. Don't get me wrong, I'm pissed and oddly terrified, but I need to keep my cool. That bastard's probably waiting for us to panic, to finish us off one by one. Izuku followed Zack into the room to see the dead body, the dead corpse. He was just alive a couple minutes ago. Now he's dead. He checked the body, but there was no sign of any type of puncture wounds or any sort of on his neck. So the killing is not by being injected. He's not sure how they're getting heart attacks. Before he could ponder how the killings are progressing, or how they're doing it, suddenly, the huge TV in the room turned on, as there's nothing but static on the television until a familiar image is being shown, as the beginning of the cursed tape is being shown, as eventually Izuku saw the rest of the tape until it fanned to the well, as Izuku and Zack, as the rest of his minions, could see something emerging from the well, as a figure slowly climbing out of the well was in a very disturbing way. As the figure slowly approaches closer to them, as the black hair is covering the figure's face, as it begins to crawl out of the television. What the fuck is that? Zack did not wait and shot it with a bolt of electricity. Sadako maneuvered around the electricity in a very unnerving way. She instantly began to force horrific images in his head, forcing him to scream out in pain, as Zack is temporarily immobilized. Izuku did charge at the strange girl. He couldn't see her face because of her hair blocking her face. She simply extended her hand outwards towards him as he was forced into the wall, as he was bound to the wall, as Izuku was unable to move by the unknown force. Izuku's telekinesis wasn't strong enough to overpower hers. She clearly has more. She clearly has a more powerful telekinesis quirk, or she just simply knows more than he does. Sadako, she simply turned her head to her. Let me try it again. Sadako, she simply tilt her head to the side, then turn her back on Izuku, who is still bound to the wall of the room, while the three remaining street punks rush towards her, while their leader is still recovering from the images he was just exposed to. Sadako moved her body in an unnatural way and dodged their attacks and slammed her fist into one of their chests by going through her hand, went through their chest, ripped out their heart, as you see the pumping heart in her hand, as she gently released it as the street punk fell down to the ground dead, as the heart fell at the same time. Towards the two remaining that are left alive. Got close to one of them and ripped off his head. She immediately began to assault the remaining one with images until all of them were dead, except for Zack and Izuku. Izuku managed to break free by now and used his telekinesis to throw her to the wall and yank Zack with his telekinesis. Izuku used his telekinesis to push the girl back into the television, while Zack shattered the screen with his electric shot. Both boys ran out of the manor. What the fuck? Who is that? He's not human. I don't know, Zack, and I don't want to know either. I'm not planning to linger, whatever that thing is. That bitch tore my gang like they were paper. Izuku turned his head backwards to see if they're being followed, as he saw the entity following them. Shit, she's right behind us. Over there, as he pointed over to a mall, as they broke into the entrance of the mall late at night, so no one will be there at the mall except for a few security guards. We're all running through the While running to the mall, they enter one of the shops. Running through the dark aisle as Zack was pulled into the shadows as Izuku could hear the screams of Zack's screams until there was complete silence. Sadako came out of the darkness, dragging the dead body of Zack. As he could see Zack's terrifying expression on his face, she dropped him and began to walk slowly towards Izuku. As Sadako would teleport in a very short distance to make her more terrifying, like she's phasing out and in. Izuku started to grab stuff from the aisles with his telekinesis and toss it at her, only to see the creepy girl maneuver around everything very unnervingly. Joints are not meant to be bent that way. Izuku knows the anatomy, and they're not supposed to bend that way. Sadako clearly enjoying herself. If that small smirk on her face is any indication, she's playing with me. How the hell am I gonna get out of this one? By Izuku's relief, 3 security guards came rushing in, thinking they're here to rob the place. Izuku used his telekinesis to knock down the shelves of the aisle in the store, blocking his path, blocking Sadako's path to Izuku, while she focused her attention at the security guards as she begins to kill them. He knows that probably won't occupy her for long. It might give him enough time to get out of there, but he's unsure. 30 minutes later, he noticed no one was following him. When he turned the corner, he stopped immediately as he gets tossed into a wall, as the back of his head hit the wall as he slowly begins to lose consciousness. Watching Sadako slowly approach him as he finally fades out of consciousness when she got closer. Sadako approaches her unconscious victim. For once, she's at a crossroads. She thought she wanted to kill him, like the others, but there's something about him. He has a very strange urge to keep him around. She picked him up and walked into a nearby store and walked into the television while carrying Izuku through the television. As you can see a television turn on in Izuku's room. First there's static, then there's images of the well. As you can see Sadako come out of the screen with the Izuku in her arms as she lay him on the bed. As she stared at him with her head tilted to the side, her once terrifying and disturbing face turned back to normal, revealing a very attractive looking girl or woman. What am I going to do with you? Killing you would be so easy. You're just sitting there, completely at my mercy. But I highly enjoyed our little game. It would be a shame if it ends so soon. You belong to me now, my little human. And I will do what I want with you. And anyone gets in my way, I'll simply kill them and eliminate anyone else that dares stand in my way. Sleep well, my little human. We'll be seeing each other sooner than you think. As she gently stroked the hair away from his face and went back into the television, disappearing. That's where we're going to stop it. I hope you guys have a good night and day, judging by time zones. and I'll catch you in the next video.